Yo, group stage is over, and this year there were not that many surprises, which is actually good because last year was kind of weird. Exciting, but weird. This year's not really less exciting, so that's a good thing, I guess. We're gonna start with Group A. Apart from the Griffin, I wouldn't call that an upset. I already called that these two are like really close. Then again, if you saw the last two games, the last matchup between them and the tiebreaker, Griffin destroyed G2. That was not even close. In the first week they looked a lot weaker, but we're gonna talk about that later when we talk about the quarterfinal matchups. But other than that, pretty much going as expected. Cloud9 got third. They also didn't look that good, in my opinion. Like, I expected a bit more of a fight from them. Then again, G2 and Griffin are really fucking good, so I don't think you can be too disappointed as a Cloud9 fan. HKA, pretty much the same. Nothing really to expect from them, especially against this group. I mean, Cloud9 didn't look good, so there maybe was a chance to upset, but didn't happen, so who cares? Group B. That's once again the fun group. FPX got first, and the other three were really close, and it could have gone either way. This group went the least how I expected it, because first of all, FPX didn't get first easily. Not even close to easy. They looked incredibly bad. GAM put up a fight, but not a great one. They were clearly the worst team in this group, and I expected a bit more, but I'm not too disappointed. It's not like they shit the bed completely. I don't really know what else to say about this group. It was like a huge shitfest. I don't know what fucking happened. Very crazy and not going towards any of my expectations. Especially FPX, as I said. They were so dominant in the LPL, and then that happened. Gonna talk about them in the predictions phase a little more. So yeah, we're gonna continue with Group C, which was a close fight between Fnatic and Royal, but in the end the other two spots were pretty clear as well. Royal could have made it out, but week 2 Fnatic once again showed up and even got a game off of SKT, which looked pretty fucking clean in my opinion. They snowballed insanely well, and that's the kind of team play you expect from G2 and Fnatic. And if we're honest, the only chance they have at winning at this tournament in general, especially against Korean teams, because individually they're not really good. And I talked about that concerning G2 in the last video, but that's obviously also true for Fnatic. I still don't understand why people rate the individual players so highly. We're gonna see that in the quarterfinals, I guess, but I think we also saw that in the groups already. I mean, Jankos, for example, had incredibly bad games. Wonder and Mickey also didn't look anywhere near what people predicted them to be. So yeah, I still don't understand it. Whatever, we're gonna talk about them in the predictions as well, so I'm gonna continue with that. Yeah, Royal, unlucky draw, I guess. They could have easily won against Fnatic, as I said, but Fnatic came out in the second week and destroyed them. So everything as I thought it would be. Same with Group D, actually. These two, as I said, were a lot easier to predict than the first two groups. Actually, I predicted everything correctly in the broad sense, because I said that G2 and Griffin could be swapped easily and that 2, 3, and 4 in Group B are a real toss-up. That's like the only point I didn't get correct at all. I said that it would be very close between them, when in reality it was not that close. J-Team could have won against Splyce, but GAM was a sure lock for last in this group, and I should have known that. But whatever, we're gonna talk about Group D now, and yeah, DAMWON looked very good. Not exceptional, but very good. Same with IG, they overperformed a bit. Team Liquid, apart from that win against DAMWON, didn't look too great, but they also didn't look terrible. Actually, not that much more you could have expected from them. They could have won against IG if IG had a worse tournament, but they seem to be getting back in form, which is actually pretty scary for the Korean teams or for G2 or anyone else. So yeah, HQ, as I said, no real chance. They actually should have won against Liquid in their one game, but they didn't, and we're still where we are supposed to be. Nothing really out of the ordinary. So that's where we're gonna continue to the predictions now. Yeah, we are gonna start with Griffin and IG. This is a kind of close one, because we can't know what we can expect from IG. Griffin looked insanely good against G2 in these last two games, and if IG keeps their form up and the coin lands on the right side, this series is gonna be nuts. The thing about Griffin, we can't be sure if their internal problems are solved. Like, I don't know if you have paid any attention to the social media shit. The owner got like screwed. No, he screwed someone, the coach, and now he's getting sued and shit like that. And the coach got fired, as I said in the last video. I don't know what the fuck is going on there. I read a bit about it, but I don't want to get too much into that. Like, after the first round, some of the problems got like talked about, and apparently that helped the Griffin players a lot because they performed so much better in the second week. Since it's only like one day and it could have been just a good day for them, can't know that for sure, but I don't see any reason why that was not the case. Before the tournament, I would have thought they were insanely good. Like, before the tournament, I would have thought they were as good as they showed in the second round. So that's my point about them beating IG. Actually, it all comes down to IG. Like, if they have an insanely good performance, if the Shy is on, and Ning, who has been playing for, I think, all of the games? No, some of the games. I don't fucking remember, but both junglers played, I think, and Ning looked actually pretty good. I mean, he's still like a 50-50 jungler. Same with the Shy, but if they are on, this series is gonna be insane. And I think in that case, IG might actually win this, but we can't know that for sure. And like I'm gonna take the average where they should land again. And in that case, Griffin wins this. I think 3-2 or 3-1. If they play like they played against G2, I don't see any way for IG winning more than one game. But we'll see about that. Like, if both are on, this series is gonna be insane. As I said, 3-2 is what we all want to see, and I hope we will get that. FPX versus Fnatic. Another close series. Actually, all of these, except for SKT versus Splyce, of course, are insanely close. This is the series where it's like the most of a coin flip, because I think a lot of people have Fnatic winning and a lot of people have FPX winning this. And there are good arguments for both sides, actually. Fnatic looked insanely good versus SKT, and I don't know if FPX can handle that. First and foremost, if FPX perform like they performed in the group stage, they are doomed. They will not win more than one game. Probably even 3-0 in my opinion, because they look terrible. Like, compared to what they showed in the LPL, it's insanely bad. LWX was legit inting in some games. It was actually almost hilarious to watch. Doinbig didn't get unleashed, how they would say, and I think Fnatic can handle that. Like, their coaching staff has always been good. This is the reason Fnatic is always the European team going the furthest in the tournaments, no matter which seed they are. And in this case, I'm predicting Fnatic to get to the semis and G2 not getting out of quarters. But yeah, Fnatic, if they play like they played against SKT, I'm not sure if FPX can handle that. Actually, this is the thing FPX is good at. Grouping up early, like level 3 tower dives, shit like that. When Doinbig gets unleashed and roams with Tien. That's like the thing they do. And they do that insanely good. Better than anyone in the world. But Fnatic showed exactly how to do that against SKT. Maybe not level 3, but you get my point. The thing is, FPX should actually win this, of course. Like, they still dominated the LPL. There has to be a problem somewhere. In the interviews you heard they were nervous and shit like that. You couldn't really see that, but this can be such a difference for them. They played the finals and shit like that on stage, and China has like huge stages. Every team has their own stage and shit like that. So I don't know if the pressure is an issue for them. But if it is, it won't be solved within a week. If you actually look at the games, they didn't look much better in the second week. So if that is a problem, this won't be solved. And Fnatic will easily win this. But then again, they had such a weak group. And something people tend to forget is that you oftentimes look much worse against weak competition. Like DAMWON, a lot of people think they looked bad in the playing stage. When you play against weak competition, unless you like uber stomp them, like some Chinese teams often do, you look a lot worse. And FPX do have a snowbally playstyle, but they're not like IG, who just fucking destroy you in lane and then snowball the game off of that and win in like 20 minutes. That's not how FPX plays. So yeah, that's what we can expect from this. I think Fnatic's gonna win this. Probably a 3-2. Actually, probably a higher chance of being a 3-1, just because I don't think FPX is gonna solve their problems. If nerfs are not the problem, they are doing something fundamentally wrong, and that is for sure not gonna get solved in this 1 week break. Yeah, SKT vs Splyce, not really much to talk about. SKT is gonna destroy them. There's almost a 0% chance that Splyce wins even a single map. They're gonna prepare cheese picks, of course, and maybe some of that works and they actually win a map, but other than that, I'm gonna predict a clean 3-0 for SKT, and it should not be close. That's about all I have to say about this series. DAMWON vs IG. Okay, this is the one where most people will disagree with me, because I think DAMWON will win this. It's insanely close. This is probably the closest one, actually. I mean, FPX, Fnatic, or this. But actually, if FPX like keeps their form, this one should be the closest one. So, why do I think DAMWON's better than G2? First of all, G2 got so overhyped for this tournament. They are already underperforming. The thing is, I don't see it. The reason I had them so high in my power rankings before was just because every analyst, and I respect those people who said that, were hyping them up so much. That's the only reason. I just didn't see it in the games. I watched every single playoff series and shit like that. I just don't see how they are anywhere near SKT, Griffin. They didn't look that good. Like, they looked really bad in their losses. And in their wins, they didn't look that great either. I mean, not everyone in the team, of course. But my question is, are these troll games that they had really troll games? And at some point, you gotta stop saying, we were just trolling. At some point, it's just not believable anymore. They are not about individual level, as I said. Because if you say G2 wins this, you gotta check the individual matchups. And apart from bot lane, mostly ADC, DAMWON wins obviously in every category. There's a world in which Caps has a chance against Showmaker, but I don't see that because Showmaker's, in my opinion, the best player in DAMWON, followed by Canyon, who is a lot better than Jankos. Nuguri is a lot better than Wonder, and Barry and Nuclear were not bad. Perks and Caps were obviously the two best players in G2 and the only consistent ones, if you ask me. And Caps is clearly outclassed by Showmaker, at least in my opinion. And while Perks is better than Nuclear, I think DAMWON will be better at playing around their weaker bot lane than Perks and Caps can even do within a game. But yeah, Nuguri is still inconsistent, obviously, but he's still better than Wonder, in my opinion. The entire top side is in favor of DAMWON. So yeah, I think it's still going to be a 3-2, and it's going to be a very exciting and close matchup. G2 could easily take this. I'm explaining this like they don't have a chance, but obviously I had them actually above DAMWON. I had them winning this for like a week before, actually like a few hours ago. But when I thought about it, it's just like, people are so overhyping G2 that I kind of want to put DAMWON over them. But that's actually not the reason for that. I explained my reason more than enough, I think. Okay, let's continue with the semifinals. I got Griffin versus Fnatic. I have to actually go through a lot of potential semifinals because we don't know which of these will happen. Like, the only one I'm willing to put my hand in the fire for is SKT winning over Splyce. That not being the case would be like the biggest upset in world's history, probably. So I'm pretty sure about that. But the other three are so fucking close. I think Griffin winning over IG is more likely than any of the others, but I'm still not 100% convinced about that, just because IG can go from 0 to 100 in an instant, and we don't know which IG is gonna show up on the day. And it's always a question about who's better on the day. That decides more actually than any of the reasoning I talked about. Like, if Fnatic has a bad day, FPX wins, unless they keep being trash. More so for DAMWON versus G2. Like, if any of these players actually has a bad day, like, could be only one player, and that would make more than enough of a difference for the other team to win. Actually, G2 has a higher chance of that happening, so I'm getting more confident in my vote right now. Whatever, I'm just gonna continue with Griffin vs Fnatic. I think Griffin easily take this. This should actually not be that close. I think a 3-1 or 3-2 would be the most likely scenario. If IG wins this, that would actually be very hype because IG vs Fnatic rematch. But if IG wins this, I think they're gonna 3-0 Fnatic, just because if they beat Griffin, they are on. And that means Fnatic will get smashed. If FPX plays against Griffin, that mostly depends if FPX is back to their form. Because if they are, I still think Griffin takes it, but that's gonna be a lot more exciting and a lot closer. If they just like barely beat Fnatic and look shaky, Griffin also 3-0s them. SKT will 99.9% win this, so we're not gonna exchange them. But yeah, SKT vs G2, that would be very fucking interesting. And it's very likely, I think 50-50. DAMWON winning is actually like 50.5% or 51% or some shit like that. It's so fucking close. But yeah, I think that would be a 3-2 or 3-1 for SKT. Just because SKT can exploit G2's weaknesses so fucking good. If G2 like managed to get that fast-paced, crazy, we group up and teamfight all the time style, like Fnatic did against SKT, SKT is gonna find an answer to that within one game. That's just the kind of team SKT is. And they can stall you out and they will win in late game fights, like always. Their macro is a lot better as well. Their individual skills also insanely good, so G2 kinda has to group to deal with them. Yeah, I think that's gonna be probably a 3-1 with G2 winning the first game. Could be a lot closer actually, but that's just my guess. So yeah, finals. So many scenarios. I'm gonna talk about Griffin SKT. That would be insanely... I mean, actually, that could just be insanely bad. Just because Griffin having the bad track record against SKT. But then again, such a small sample size and how good they looked in the second phase of groups. I think this is gonna be a hype matchup. And I think SKT is gonna take that with like 3-2-2 or maybe 3-2-1. Yeah, they match up great in almost, actually in every lane. That would be just so hype. I hope we can see that. Not only because I would be right in my predictions, but also because I think that would be the most exciting and best looking League of Legends we could see. So yeah, alternatives would be that IG meets SKT in the finals. In that case, I think... I mean, they would actually meet IG beats Griffin and Fnatic or FPX. That's actually insanely hard to predict. I would say SKT deals a lot better with the playstyle and they match up a lot better as well. I mean, the Shy is probably better on a good day than Khan. I think Rookie can actually outshine Faker. Faker is not at the level, if that makes sense. Faker is obviously playing an insanely good tournament right now, but I think at his best, Rookie is better than Faker right now. At Faker's best, he's better than anyone ever, but right now he's not at his best. He's not far from that, but you know what I mean. So yeah, they match up insanely good. I think Kled's gonna outplay Ning in that case, so I think SKT takes that. As I said, probably like 3-2 or something. Maybe even 3-1. FPX, I'm gonna say it like this. Even if FPX plays to their level they showed in the LPL, SKT still wins, in my opinion. Actually, it's the same reasoning I think SKT would win against G2 in the semis. I think they're gonna figure out what to do against this grouping shit. Like, their research team is insanely good. They probably already know what to do against them if it comes to that. So yeah, I would say probably the same as G2, a 3-1 with FPX winning the first game. I'm not gonna go through G2 and the other ones as well. This just takes way too long. I'm gonna go ahead and skip to the power rankings. Like, if it comes to that and I'm like totally wrong, I can do another small video next week where I talk about the matchups I didn't cover right now. So yeah, in the power rankings, not too many large changes. The only really big one is FPX dropping down for obvious reasons. And then we got +3 2 times. That's IG and Splyce, both teams overperforming or underperforming up to this point, if that makes sense. So yeah, I got SKT at first. I think I properly covered all about them already. They just look solid. Apart from that Fnatic game where they threw, you could probably say they threw, but after that they got smashed. It felt like they didn't find a way to gain control of the game again, and Fnatic just bombarded them with engagements, and SKT just couldn't deal with it. But yeah, that's not gonna happen again, and that's what makes SKT so fucking good. So yeah, Griffin just looked fucking insane in the second round. That's obviously my number 2 pick. I think it's hard to make a case for anyone else. Next one, not so clear cut. I think DAMWON and G2 are easily exchangeable. That matchup will actually show a lot. Korea's obviously back. I mean, they're not that dominant. The gap is still closing little by little. Every year it gets closer between China, Europe and Korea, even though it doesn't show this year because Korea won all 3 groups and just by results they have the best year ever, I think, only losing 3 groups games. But from the games you can see that, and the best of 5s will probably show that. I mean, not necessarily, but you can see from the games that the gap is closing a bit. Especially like if you just look European and Chinese games, they just look better than before. Especially China is like, they always look like shit. Hands down. They obviously were good, but the games just looked bad. And I talked about that in other videos already, but you can clearly see that China and Europe are improving. And this series between DAMWON and G2 will show actually a lot. Like, if DAMWON wins this, we're probably back to like Korean overlords rule the entire esports realm. But yeah, G2 already said enough about them. They can prove me wrong, like that's actually all there is to do for them. If they like get smashed by DAMWON, they're probably gonna move down again. They were just insanely high because they were hyped up so much. I think I said in the first video that they actually can't really win unless they win Worlds, because they are quote unquote underperforming unless they win Worlds. Whatever, we're gonna continue with IG. They jumped up a lot just because they just looked like shit when they qualified. I mean, they didn't look like shit. Top Esports is a tough opponent, but they beat them barely, and Rookie wasn't playing up to his standards. The Shy is the Shy. They didn't even have Ning playing, and Leon is like a very young rookie, I think. They didn't look as good. In the group stages, they actually showed that they are a legit team once again, and when it matters, Rookie is like such a beast. probably the best player at the tournament, if we're honest. We will see if he will be, but right now he looks very close to being the best. After that I got Fnatic. They didn't move at all, just no movement around them, so good for them, I guess. FPX after that, they dropped a lot. You could obviously place them still above like Fnatic or actually under Royal. Royal actually had a better showing in the groups than FPX, even though Royal got third and FPX got first, but Royal obviously had like insanely good opponents while FPX had insanely bad ones. FPX just looked worse, obviously. Still not really anything answered about them. We'll see where they finally land after the playoffs. So yeah, Royal in the top 8, but not in the top 8 of the tournament, sadly. Just unlucky seeding, as I said. They didn't look great, as I always say. They have a too predictable playstyle. Their drafts were pretty meh, especially in the second week, and Fnatic obviously won for a reason. But yeah, individually they're still insanely strong, blah blah blah. We're always saying the same shit about them. So, continuing with Team Liquid, they didn't change at all. They just missed the playoffs, and that's probably where they belong. Actually, there's a world in which I consider Splyce stronger than them, but right now I can't really say that. Like, these top 9 teams are the top 9 teams, and after that, there's a bigger gap. Splyce comes after that. They obviously jump up a lot because I underrated them before the groups, just because they look terrible in the playing stage. J-Team after that, they just dropped down because Splyce jumped up. They didn't look too bad. In my opinion, they underperformed, but for most people, they probably even overperformed or played to their expectations. Cloud9 also dropped down because of Splyce. Same with GAM. Actually, none of the places 10 to 16 changed, in my opinion, apart from Splyce jumping up. That shows how much of a genius I am. Actually, not really much happened there. Like Clutch, HQ, and Hong Kong, the only way for them to jump up was like taking a game off of anyone, upsetting anyone, and that didn't happen. So I don't see a reason for me to change any of that. Like, just from looking, these spots I put them in fit. So I mean, there's a world you can put GAM below Clutch, but I think GAM in some games they really showed up. Whatever, we don't really care about those anyway. They're out of the tournament and they're not gonna change after the tournament. I mean, they could in theory when it turns out FPX is actually good and the group was a lot stronger, blah blah blah, you know that shit. But we'll see about that, and we'll see each other after Worlds. Maybe next week if something happens, but probably not.